Gather round, friends. It's time for Officials' Tales. Hosted by three retired sports referees that coaches throughout Northern Ohio knew as the Three Blind Mice. They are authors of the book called Officials' Tales. So let's meet the authors and your hosts, Jimmy Borgia, Rick Hall, and Don Nardecchia for today's edition of Officials' Tales. Now here's your host, Rick Hall.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Officials' Tales. And tonight we have a very special guest, Greg Batemes. He's going to go over some football stuff for us, and it's part 2 of our series. This is the new high school rules. So we're excited to have him. And let me get my partners on here, straight from South Carolina, Don Nardecchia. What's up, Don?
Hey. Well, it's been a great week of weather down here. Kind of rainy at times, but temperatures in the 80s. So it's been very enjoyable. We went 37 or 38 days in a row with high temperatures in the 90s. They sent a record in Greenville for that. So this is very refreshing, and I'm sure it'll get back to the 90s in another week.
Hey, you been over to that barbecue joint lately? That thing is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were just down to Smoking Pig a week ago.
Nice. Speaking of smoking pigs, hey, Jimmy, what's
nice.
up?
Nice. What a lead-in. You must have been thinking all week on it.
Smoking pig. Smoking
What's
pig.
going on, Jimmy?
Yeah.
My man. How's
I'll
everything
get you.
going, buddy? How's rehab? How's
Going
everything?
good. Going good.
I haven't seen you because they
Real
closed
good.
down the pool, so I figured, well,
Yeah. Yeah, you got to figure out something else. I just got done with rehab about an hour ago, so might come down do a mile walk in the air condition.
yeah, they shut down the weight room too. They're cleaning
they?
it finally.
Damn.
Oh yeah,
Didn't think they were
finally.
going to do that.
Oh yeah. But anyway,
The parking lot's full.
well, you know. Hey, we got our special guest here. Hey, Greg, we're going to bring Greg on. Hey, Greg, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're glad to have you
Great.
back.
Good.
We're excited for another high school football season. I think everybody is. Football in general. Let's just say it that way.
Well, I'm glad to be back.
You know, we're glad to have you. I think I saw Dave Winery last weekend. I didn't get a chance. He was quite a ways away from me. So I wasn't sure that was Dave, but I was about ready to yell at him. And I thought, well, it kind of looked weird if it wasn't Dave.
Yeah.
But I think he was at the Tommy Boy Festival at Sandusky down Jackson Street Pier. So he was walking around, I think, with some people. You know, he was quite a ways away. But it's just good to see some of the old guys and some of you guys that are still doing it. You know, it's great. And, you know, if I get to a couple high school games, which I'll try this year, hopefully we'll see you guys. So anyway,
this is my final season.
there we go. Attaboy.
Swan song.
Yeah.
Hey, you know,
Where are you
get
opening up?
We have Fremont Ross, Tiffin Columbia at Fremont Ross.
Aha. That's
Nice.
a good
There
rivalry.
you go.
That's
Yeah.
a good rivalry.
40
I was
years.
hoping it was going to be in Norwalk because we'll be home that week and I'll be down at their game.
Well, I know we're going to try to get together a little bit when Don's home. I know we're going to rally up at our favorite place, Common Good, there, and try to do a little
Yep.
something special up there for that. But hey, the reason we brought Greg in is because, you know, we got a whole bunch of new rules. Well, I shouldn't say a whole bunch, but there's some that's going to be there's one.
one, and that
gonna
can be trouble enough. But
Yeah, we actually watched the NFHS version on YouTube a couple shows ago and had him try to explain it, Don and I. And, well, this could be very interesting. So, Don, you want to go ahead and talk about Greg a little bit, and we'll get the slideshow going about the new rule.
well, Greg has obviously he's a longtime football official, but he also did a number of years of basketball. And like a lot of people that have officiated that long, he was able to do that and take time away from the game when his boys were active in sports. He's here in high school. He helped coach at the lower levels at that time. And I think he kept doing probably Saturday morning games just to stay on top of his game. But it's he spends probably more time studying the rules than I'm going to say over 95% of the football officials in Ohio. He's just very dedicated to knowing the rules. It's been recognized in Columbus as he writes a rules quiz 3 times a season that is published on the state football website, ohsaafb.com. We get a weekly newsletter from the state with things that had happened in the games that weekend that maybe were mishandled, and it's brought to our attention. Other things that have been questioned brought to our attention, and that's available online on Friday prior to the game. But during the week, the quiz that Greg puts together, and he also, I think there are 2 other officials, and they take time. They each do 3 of them, and they put it on during 9 weeks of the season. And it's a great study tool to have. So he's a solid playoff official. Has been down to the state finals. I know it 2 times. Am I correct?
Yes, twice.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, he's a solid of guys that come. So that's why we reached to him for his rules knowledge. And there he is with one of his crews there that have some familiar faces to the guys back in Erie and Huron County for sure. And Greg, why don't you just tell us a little bit about that picture and those guys there?
Actually, I think that game was opening game of Toledo Central Catholic the first week, and they just got new turf and all that and redid their stadium. So that was a opening night for them and to showcase the new stadium. And I don't know if that might have been St. Ed's. I don't know if it was it might have been St. Ed's against St. Ed's. So it was a pretty good game. Well played. 2 good programs, and just good time. It's nice when you get games like that.
Oh, you bet. That is a beautiful stadium, and it's just, I know it took them a long time. They played a lot of games for a lot of years at the Glass Bowl in place of not having a really acceptable spot to play except for maybe junior varsity freshman games there. But that's quite a place they have there. So
well, I did have a question though.
Yeah,
we did have John Livengood on last week, and we told him you were going to be on this week. So my question is, during this game, did you call holding on the first touchdown score by the home team, the Fighting Irish? He said every time he had you as a referee, you called holding every time, every first drive they had a touchdown on.
I'll tell you a little story about doing a game for St. Paul. One time during the head coach, the pregame where you go talk to the head coach, I looked at John and I said, "Would you like me to just call holding now and get it over with?" He got a kick out of that.
Yeah, he brought it up last week.
Mike. Yeah, we were talking to him.
He really did.
Yeah, we told him we were going to have you on next week because you're such a good rules guy. He goes, yeah. He used to first touchdown of the game for us. He always call holding. So there you go.
So I think right now, let's just get into the slides real quick. And Jimmy, if you have a question, just
let's start our rules presentation here.
So, first, you know what? Let's get into the slides. This play right here. Now, this was in I believe 7-on-7. Picture from the Reflector.
Yeah, I believe his Reflector had that. North
Yeah,
Reflector.
and people always ask, what do we look for, say, as a back judge or a wing, as the ball's in the air? So I think
as people are watching the ball in the air,
right.
as if they don't know where it's going until it gets there, but they're watching that they train to watch the ball. So the ball's not there yet, but you can see it's really close to getting there. So at that time, they're starting to look down and they see a receiver and a defender playing pretty good coverage as they just quickly look down as the ball's coming. But as officials, we're trained to look where the ball's headed, not watch the ball in the air get there. So whoever the officials are here, and again, this was a 7-on-7. So if you were there and nothing was called, hey, what do you have? 3 officials for some of these things, maybe none. And it's where bad habits begin. But if you take a second to study that, I asked Jimmy, you're not a football official. What do you think there? Pretty good?
With that picture, that kind of reminds me of these kids that are trying to catch like the pros. They always got that hand back, the defensive man's hand there, but when some of these offensive players try to catch it, they got that hand turning away, so it's almost like the defensive man's hand's blocking it, but sometimes the way they try to catch, their hand is blocking the vision of the ball too. I would say 30% of all drop balls is because they've blocked their vision.
Could be.
If you watch college or pros, high school, hey, when I go down and watch St. Paul's and stuff, I don't know why they don't talk to them about getting hands turned so you are not blocking your own vision.
I'll tell you what's going to happen here.
Well, wait a minute. Let's Greg's the guy behind the offense. He's been a referee for
way back there.
Since Moses put the original 10 rules down on a slab, and he also has been a center judge, which is the high school 6th official now that helps in the offensive backfield, making sure the legality of the line play. If you look at that as a back judge, you see anything in there, Greg, that back judge would look for?
Well, what I would be watching is the offensive player's right arm. Is he able to get his right arm, both arms up to make a catch, or is that defender restricting him from being able to bring that other arm up for the catch? If he's grabbing and preventing that arm from coming up, you got a good chance of that being pass interference right there.
Yeah,
right. And that's what I see is the defender's hand. And gee whiz, he's wearing a white glove that is the same color as the offensive guy's jersey. Defender's wearing a white jersey too, but on a game night, that white hand might not be seen grabbing that jersey, and he's holding that guy's progress to the ball, as you can see how the shirt is stretched. Now, you don't know if he just did it for a second or not. Well, that's right, but people don't see that at all.
No.
Unless they see a replay 3 times, and one of the announcers on TV says, well, right there's a hold. Then they say, oh, yeah. So these are the things that officials deal with on Friday nights where, all you see from that defender is that hand out there. And I'll tell you what, he's going to be close to having a play on it there. But, has he been keeping the offensive guy impeding his progress? And it doesn't take, football's a game of inches to first down, inches to goal line, inches to get your hand on the ball when somebody's holding you. So, there's a lot of things that officials aren't spectators. They're supposed to watch their zone, watch their area, watch their matchup, rather than watch the quarterback throw the ball and watch the ball travel 35 yards in the air. You know where it's been, you know where it's going. So start concentrating on what these guys are doing and see if somebody's having an effect on in impeding the progress of the receiver or jumping into. I mean, actually, no, you can't get the ball, so you make a crazy lunge and crash into the back of a receiver or something like that. That is not a play on the ball, just a give up. I give up play, and we'll, if he's going to catch it, we're going to keep it here. If he misses it, I'll take my chance. But there's a lot more going on that spectators in the stands see.
Oh, yeah.
And also that, people watching at home, I've still got that officiating mind that when there's a pass play and they get the camera downfield, I don't even look at the ball because I know where it's going. I start watching what's going on in there.
Oh, yeah. Well, now that we got this new rule.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, okay, Greg. Yeah, follow up here.
Let me ask. I know this is a 7-on-7. I know this is a 7-on-7 and in the summertime. But if this was Friday night, do you see any other issues there?
Oh, yeah. Look at the guy in the yellow helmet. Look at that red.
Look at right here.
Look at that red shield there.
Tinted
That
visor.
shield is legal, but not a red one.
Correct.
It has to be clear. And why? The reasoning behind that is because
I always thought, and I never really heard why, but I like being able to see the player's eyes, especially if you have a concussion situation.
That's right. Yep, concussion.
I think it's for their safety so that we can see the player's eyes, especially in a case of a concussion.
Right, and that's what I was told years ago, is that this is a safety concern for somebody that's gotten hit or whose head hit the ground hard, or if there was helmet to helmet or something. You got to be able to see their eyes to see if they're both looking in the same direction or whatever. That's the first part of the protocol. If you suspect someone might have gotten something that could lead to a concussion. A follow-up on that, many years ago, we were at Napoleon after that, probably 3-4 years after that rule went in, and about the fourth game of the season, and we watched both teams warm up. One of them was a private school, either from Cleveland or Akron, and we noticed that there were two guys that had, I don't know if they were smoke-colored or what color they were. They weren't that reflective red like that, I guarantee you. But we saw the coach as we were walking around the field before and said, "Coach, those two fellas there with those colored, non-clear face, I guess, eye guards on."
Visors.
I said, "Those are illegal. They can't wear those." He goes, "I tell those kids that every week, and they come out with it like that." And I said, "Well, tell them they can have them that way, but they got to stay in a locker room." And he said, "I will gladly tell them, gents. Thanks for telling me to tell them." So coaches don't like to be the bad guy on the the regulations for uniforms and safety equipment, but we try to find it ahead of time. So here's our first piece here, and just to explain, this comes out of the rule book, and so everybody knows here when you see two teams, they have them designated as yellow and white. You see A1 as the player that we focus on here. He's white shirt. Although A players in any rules diagram, they are always the offensive team or the kicking team. Now, the yellow or any other color, so usually in a black and white book, they're going to be black and white. But the other ones are the defensive players. And when you see A1, he's our highlight person. And he's come from where that arrow is. That means he had the ball and he had control of it. But when he was hit right there, you see the broken line. And the broken line means the ball is loose. It took a bounce and then it bounced out of bounds. So that's how to read the action on this. And so I set that up. It'll be the same for these other slides you'll see. So, Greg, you can take it from there.
Okay. Well, the key to this, or the things you have to remember about this rule change. Number one, it has to be a forward fumble. Number two, it has to go out of bounds. Okay. And number three, it has to be between the goal lines. So not every forward fumble are you going to move back to the spot of the fumble. If it's not out of bounds, then it's where it is. Who recovers it?
Right. So what we have here is an official that runs the sideline that is expected to throw his beanbag at the yard line where the fumble occurred, and on the side zone there, he'd probably like to get it pretty close to that spot. But all it needs to be is on the yard line where it occurs, and then the play continues. The ball goes forward out of bounds. So Greg said that's going to come in and barring any penalty on the play, the A team is going to maintain possession. They'll get the ball where the fumble occurred. And because we basically stopped the forward progress of the play, well, maybe that's not quite the term. Yeah, the clock starts when the snap happens, because it's not a true out of bounds ending. It's ending where the fumble occurred. So we're going to pick it up as if the fumble happened in bounds and was recovered in bounds, even though it went out of bounds ahead of there. So you're not going to get any free yardage fumbling the ball forward is the big thing that you're going to see here. So here's another.
You're not going to get the game clock to stop.
Yeah. So here's another one, but it's also got some other things involved in that. So we'll let Greg take it.
Yeah,
might hear what you see.
This is definitely a Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now this here is okay. A fumbles the ball into the end zone.
Correct.
B picks it up. They are allowed to advance it, right? They get hit while still in the end zone. The hit creates a fumble. If the fumble goes forward, it goes out of bounds. And so now you have a forward fumble goes out of bounds. Okay. Now the keys to this play is forward fumble, out of bounds, but who put so the fumble will go back to the spot of the fumble, which gives it's B's ball in the end zone. But who is responsible for the ball being in the end zone? A. Since A is responsible for the ball to being in the end zone, that's a touchback. So they still get the touchback in that situation. So you bring that ball out to the 20.
And it'll be B's ball.
Yeah, that's a tricky one there. So
yeah, so even though he fumbles it out of bounds, the end result is the play was dead, and the fumble occurred in the end zone going out of bounds. So that's where the play stops. Then and when Greg talks about A1 being responsible for the ball getting into the end zone, that is by way of as you can see the path that the runner took. He provided the impetus for the ball on the fumble to continue going in the direction he was going. So that was his carry, that was his fumble, and it just so happened to bounce into the end zone. So A put the ball in the end zone. A1 did.
Now you see the note on this slide?
Yeah.
If the momentum exception applies, the forward fumble exception would not apply, and a safety would not be awarded. Okay, what the momentum rule? Okay, is it between 5-yard line and the goal line? If B intercepts a pass or catches a kick, and their momentum, like say on the 2-yard line, in between that zone, Okay, their momentum carries them into the end zone. They gain possession in the field of play, momentum carries them into the end zone. They can still run that ball out, okay? Because it's not a kick at that point that went in the end zone, or it's not that pass that went into the end zone.
Right.
Okay, so if they get hit and fumbles and goes out of bounds, like say that was, instead of A's fumble, that was a B interception, and the momentum rules applied. Okay, you're going to put that ball then on the 2-yard line, and you're going to administer the momentum rule and not the fumble rule.
Yeah, that
That's
makes
what
sense.
that's telling you.
Now, let me add you a little caveat here, since I got you here. Let's say B has the ball, they've recovered it, they get hit in the end zone, and it goes out of the end line. It goes out of the back of the end zone. Now, do we have the same thing, or do we have something else?
Well, no, that's just a touchback as well, but the fumble, for the fumble rule, it has to go out between the goal lines.
Well, that makes sense.
It all depends on the key to a safety or a touchback is who's responsible for putting the ball in the end zone. If the other team is responsible for putting it in the end zone, B gets the touchback. If they ran it in the end zone themselves, and you didn't, and it wasn't their momentum, then you have a safety.
All right, next slide. Oh, here's a good one.
Okay, so we have a fumble that goes forward. All right. It goes out of bounds, but it goes out of bounds in the end zone.
Right.
Okay. It does not go out of bounds between the goal line. This is the same rule as it always has been. It's a touchback. B gets the ball on the 20-yard line.
Yeah, that makes it nice and easy.
Yeah.
Now here's a different one.
Okay, you have a backward fumble that goes out of bounds between the goal lines. You stop the clock on this one. The clock stays stopped until the snap, and it's spotted at the spot of where it goes out of bounds. This situation is the same old rule.
Now here's a situation where you see the word muff, and I remember when I was a first-year official, second-year official, the word muff and the word fumble are close. They're related, but they're not the same thing.
No.
So as we go here, and Greg talks about a muff, listen to what he says, and then at the end of his explanation, we'll explain the difference between a muff and a fumble.
Yeah.
Okay, a muff is a player who is trying to gain possession but fails at that attempt. A fumble is a player has possession and loses possession. So in this case, you have A flips it back, okay, and A2 tries to catch the pitch, is unsuccessful, never gains possession, but it bounces off his hands, goes out of bounds. You're going to give the ball to A at that 3-yard line where it went out of bounds.
Yep.
And that even though that's a forward fumble, it's a result of, or not. Even though the ball is moving forward, it's not a forward fumble. It's just a forward muff. So you need to rule on whether you have a muff or a fumble.
Okay, just that we've touched on the word muff again. It comes into play more as somebody trying to field a punt or somebody trying to field a kickoff, where the player, because of maybe the punters that still get a hard spiral on a ball, which makes it tougher to catch, and they try to catch it and they never possess it, but the ball is loose, that's a muff. Someone from the kicking team could then pick the ball up because it's been touched but not possessed. There's been no change of possession. And so if that player from the kicking and the kick coverage unit has a player down there that is able to grab that muffed ball and return it 20 yards for a touchdown, is going to have that ball brought back to the 20-yard line, because in high school football, you cannot advance a muffed kick. So that's something that I've seen more than this play that you're looking at right now. But the excitement of a recovery and an advancement gets the crowd all up in arms when they move it back to the spot, and they immediately think an inadvertent whistle. So the guys know what they're doing, and that's because the ball was muffed by the potential kick returner. The receiver muffs it, which makes it a free ball, but not free to advance for the kicking team.
I think this is our last one, Greg.
Okay, so this you have say A1's the quarterback. He's rolling right. Okay, gets hit, fumbles the ball forward. It rolls out of the end zone, out of bounds at the 2 or 3 yard line there. Okay, that the fumble rule applies, which you're going to bring it back to the spot of the foul, or the spot of the fumble. A is responsible for putting that ball in the end zone, so that's going to result in a safety for A.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, now I was able to find. I think one of the plays in football history that actually started a lot of this stuff. Hang on 1 second, and we'll get this sucker up.
Oakland trails 20-14. 10 seconds left. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can't. The ball flipped forward as loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is rolled a fumble. Casper is recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
So I think that's kind of how all this stuff started.
Yeah,
a long time ago. But it's just I think it's great for clarification, especially in high school. I just think that like with all new stuff, it's going to be screwed up the first week or two, and then it'll settle in.
It's not going to have to be applied very often, I don't believe. I think it's probably been when they sit down to discuss the rules and what they need to change, there had to be one state that had a representative on the board, on the rules committee, that must have had complaints of this happening 3 or 4 times in their state.
Yeah.
And so then, they bring it up, and it does make sense.
Oh, absolutely.
But with so many different endings to each scenario we saw, that it puts a lot in the head of the officials, and is it really worth it to change a game that's really in a good place for the one thing. It's and maybe that's what happened. Maybe it was getting to be a joke in that state that they could fumble it forward
Yeah.
Well,
near a sideline.
I think the biggest key is the not stopping the clock in this. And I think that's what was happening. And I don't know if this was a college rule, because we like to follow up. We trail behind the college, not too far behind on some things. But if players were starting to, towards the end of the game, you're throwing you're throwing the ball to the sidelines anyways. Players not being able to get out of bounds because they're getting tackled, and then acting like they fumble, and then and letting it go out of bounds. And once you have a ball out of bounds in high school last year, you had to stop it, stop the clock, and it started on the snap. So I think that's the play they're taking away.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because we'll have to bring that up with our college guys. We're having them on in a week or so. It'd be interesting to see what they think, and how they apply that in that scenario. It'd be very interesting.
Yeah, for some reason, I think maybe within the last 5 years that college did put that in. The time warp from when I started officiating to when I got out and where I am now. 9 seasons later, and in 2 weeks it'll be my 9th season that I've been off the field. But to see how rules change, and along with that, I saw a roster from the Bay Area, and boy, that roster's changed a lot in the 9 years that I've been gone. There are a lot of familiar names, but guys that I've known maybe had been started as a basketball official, and they convinced him to do football too, which. That's me. That was me. And they've got pretty good numbers, considering the way most of the state is, and that's a really good thing. And I think when Greg was the secretary of the association, he did a lot of things that made officiating available or close. Brought it close to home to some of the young men that have joined it. I know, I think you instituted or you helped get going with Stoney Jarrett over at Western Reserve. Did he have a basketball or a football officiating class? Do you remember?
I think they had a basketball officiating class.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And that's part of a program that OHSAA has with high school students being able to take that. And they get it in the schools. And I think I don't know if they get a quarter credit or, how they work the grading system anymore, but that's a legitimate school class that you can take. And I think it's a great way to get those young people that are somewhat interested, get them on board before they leave and go somewhere for college and they don't know who to contact or whatever to try and get started in it. So.
Well, they're doing that in Milwaukee too. I know Randy's helping with that program. They do their, I think it's WIA or something. We're OHSAA, but they're like WIA, whatever. They have a different grading scale. They go from 0 to 5, I believe. 0 being, little kids and 1 on up. And that's actually how their pay rates given out. If you're a level 3, your top end is X. If you're level 4, your top end is that. And then 5, I believe, is varsity college, that kind of thing. And then that you get the top end. But that's they've been doing that too, and it's been successful. I was very fortunate to watch some of Randy's younger officials. We were up to see them. They were baseball guys, but same thing. And how they work with the kids and, how they bring everything in. And it's important, boy, because Father Time is undefeated. We all hang our jersey up sooner or later. We just do. And if we don't have a feeder system, and I know Greg, he always talked about that. He was talking about, hey, we need to recruit. We need to do this. And I'll tell you what, Greg, you did a great job of doing that. I know Don and I and Jim, when we would go out and do basketball, Don would pass out flyers for the summer camp to the JV guys. He always did.
I always tell the story. I got pulled over for speeding in Perkins Township one time, and I recruited the police officer.
Hey, why not? Why not? You know,
I almost had him, but he moved to LA to become a police officer out there. But he was going to.
Did you get the ticket
join,
though?
Huh? No.
He said,
He gave me a warning.
Boy. No, I'll tell you, it's great. And I think anything we can do, you know, even when I talk to young kids, I mean, this is like you're going to college. I mean, you could take a class and, man, you know, make a little money on the side and work your way up. Who knows? Maybe it'll come in handy someday.
I talk to kids all the time. And now that I live here in Ashland, anytime I come in contact with any AU athletes, you know, quite a few go to our church, especially a bunch of the girls basketball players. I always talk to them about, why don't you think about becoming officials when you get out of school? You know, if you stay in Ohio and that sort of thing.
Well, I'll tell you, that's what Randy did. They actually went to Marquette and recruited some ball players. He's actually got a female official. It's an ex-Marquette basketball player. And she's great. And I'm like, well, that's the kind you want. You know, they played the game. They know what's going on out there. They know all the rules. They know how to break the rules. You know,
I would like to see the state of Ohio take advantage of the enormous amount of D2 and D3 colleges they have in this state and try to recruit their athletes to become officials when they get done with school.
I think that'd be a great idea. You know, in their off season, I mean, they're always lifting and whatnot, but see if you could get a class and that they could get, you know, a phys ed class out of it. I mean, certainly you can. And be it football, basketball, you know, volleyball for the ladies, or, you know, guys want to get involved in that. It's there. You know, there's no way I can get to all of them at Clemson, but when the freshmen come in during the summer, the study hall's not that big. And I had 10 within the first 10 minutes of the first day at 8 a.m. I had 10 ladies lacrosse players in there. And within 15 minutes, 4 freshman baseball players came in. So I thought, this is probably the biggest group of freshman athletes that I'll get a chance to talk to, you know, that have talked to them really before they've gotten into their studying. And so, you know, I did talk to them about, you know, look where playing the game has gotten you this far. I said, when your days are over, I said, give back to the game. Think about giving back to the game and try to find out wherever you're living. Go to the high school. They've got lacrosse. They have baseball. Ask them who to talk to. They'll know who a person is in the area that can help you get started. I said, even if you get started and you're moving into different jobs, maintain that license if you enjoy it, because when you finally get a job that allows you the time to do it, you're good as gold to those folks. So,
yep, that might be something we need to talk to Andy about when we have him on. You know, I mean, he's got guys, and
yeah,
you know,
get you two blokes to go down there and talk to him.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean,
yeah, you know, he's working with, you know, talk about stopping the numbers for Division I, holding the numbers down for the team. What did Andy say he had last year? 130 kids, 132. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's like unlimited on D3s. And, you know, it's just guys that love the game and don't want to get away from it. That's a good spot. You know, I'm anxious to talk to him.
Oh, I am too.
Next week.
Yep. Jimmy, you haven't had a lot to say of this thing. You're the all Ohio guy. Let's see.
We got you out in the mobile studio again.
That's well, I looked at it before I left the house and it wasn't getting a good reading, so I thought I'd better get out and get somewhere where I could pick up pick up my network so I would be visible to the audience.
Well,
So
yeah, that's a blessing
Yeah,
and a
yeah, I'm
curse
sure.
all at the same time.
I'm sure
see
the
what I
audience
got to put
feels
up with all the
blessed.
time. See what I got to put up with.
Oh, like Craig doesn't
Hey,
know.
I got one question, Greg. Back in about the middle of June, they had Team Focus down at Ashland College. You didn't see any of that, did you, by chance?
No, I didn't.
I said, well, Coach Mike Godfrey used to be up here. He'd had a camp that is for boys that have lost their father, or they're not in the picture right now for whatever reason. But I had went down in the beginning of May, and they had their 25th annual banquet down there in Columbus. And I talked to Coach Godfrey, and they said that they were getting this at Ashland College, and I was just wondering, because when you said that, I forgot that you had moved down to Ashland.
No, I didn't see any of that.
It's a great program. We've us Gottfried kids out of St. Paul's have been kind of aware of what he's doing with this since he got out of coaching and since he wrapped up working for ESPN. And the fact that, being that he was from Crestline originally, he's got that local camp. It's been at Ashland for a number of years, and that's something we'll clue you in a little bit on that in case you're interested. They do it for, I think, 4 nights, 5 days down at Ashland.
Something like
Yeah, we highlighted it a few shows ago.
Yeah.
We had it.
About
So,
episode 36.
yeah, somewhere in there. So, you guys have anything for Greg before we let him go?
Well, we talked about maybe a couple of the most misunderstood rules, and I don't know if you dug up anything or yeah, I got a list for basketball, but
Well, in football,
that fumble for I had texted in the Browns game the other night. I think it was after they scored their touchdown, and they had punted, and the receiving team had fumbled, and the Browns got it and ended up going out about the 3-yard line, but they come back and they marked it where the fumble occurred.
Yeah, the muff.
I didn't know if any of you guys had saw that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was it. That was the muff and the recovery. Actually,
it was a muff.
The recovery of it. That's where they got possession. Lots of times it's close by. Could be any. But wherever it's recovered.
Yep. All right.
I think in high school, I think one of the most misunderstood rules are the rules of in Rule 8.2 and 8.3, where when you have a foul on the opponent, when the opponent of the scoring team commits a foul, everybody wants to. You got to decline a penalty to keep the points.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case in high school. You get the penalty, you get the points.
Yep.
And
you
also get the choice of the penalty on the try or the penalty on the kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great that you guys use headphones now, mics and stuff, because you can communicate so much faster. Somebody's not running 30 yards and go, "Hey, Greg, this is what I got. This is what I got." Mm-hmm. And they push a button, "Hey, Greg, I got this." And it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, and it's also good when, when you have one of those plays where an oddity in the rules occurred, and somebody, but not the person involved in the referee, are discussing the penalty. Somebody can always say, "Hey, don't remember the ball was touched by the defense before the recovery or something, if it matters. One of those little things in there that would make a difference in the ruling or accepting a penalty or whatever, that you can throw that in, not have to run across the field to tell them, get it to them before they've ended their discussion.
Right. And your line judges can talk to the coaches in real time.
Yeah.
They're not running back. Oh, I'll see what he's got. They're not running back and forth.
Yeah.
They could just push a button. Hey, what do you got? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that helps.
Yeah. I remember times yelling, there's years at the end when I was working the wings and there was a penalty on the other side on the offensive team, and that's behind me. I said, give me something to work with. He's telling the referee, I got a hold number so-and-so. I said, okay, 73, give me something to work with. The coach wants to know. And they would say, well, he spun him around or he hooked his arm, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that instantly telling the coach what it was for, not what it is. That's very helpful. Unless it's on the first touchdown of the game.
Yeah. You know how John is.
But so anyway. The same thing, Greg, we were talking before the show with Coach Livengood in a JV game back years ago. St. Paul was ahead in the game by 52 to maybe 6 at halftime. And John had been practicing with his kids, so he came over to the sideline and he grabbed me. He says, listen, Don, I don't want us scoring 60 points. I don't care what you call, but I don't care where it is. I don't care what you call, but I do not want our kids to hit 60 points. St. Paul had 54. And I said, okay, I got you. And I know how he feels about. He doesn't like to run up the score, but sometimes the kids are just so much better. You got more kids, whatever. He'll shut it down and just pound the ball off tackle with his freshmen. So this was a JV game, and St. Paul kicked off after that touchdown that put them up, and the ball got past the receiver. It went down to about the goal line, and the kid didn't give it a chance. I don't know if it was dying or what, but he returned it. And he started one way, goes back the other. He didn't even get to the 10-yard line. So the first play, their runner gets tackled for 2-3 yard loss. Now they're down near the 5. So on third down, quarterback drops back to pass. And, he ends up getting chased, and he throws it right to where 3 St. Paul defenders were waiting for it. Didn't have a kid there. He just, lobbed it up in the air a little bit, and it came down to these 3 St. Paul players at about 12-yard line. They walked in. They ran. They wouldn't have walked it in, but they could have walked in without being touched. And I'm like, I can't make a farce of a call like that. We're going to have to let that one stand. And I went over and I said, there's no way. I couldn't look that stupid or that brazen or do that to the game in a situation. He goes, yeah, I understand. But, we talked. He was trying to be very protective of the teams in the league, in the Fires Conference. It didn't hardly have enough to field a JV team. And any good freshmen or sophomores they have were playing on varsity. And he needs those schools to have good JV teams and the rest of it for everybody else. But that was pretty funny.
That's John. I remember him pulling you and me in on a Saturday morning for a JV before a JV game, and doing a film review of Friday night's game. Going, these guys cheated. Look what they're doing. What are they doing? He goes, look, what do you got here? I'm like, well. That's when the defenders were literally grabbing the offensive lineman and pulling them to the ground.
Yeah.
Almost every snap. And I'm like, what am I supposed to say here? Do I burn my brothers in stripes?
Yeah.
Or do I just go, I don't know.
I do. Tell my kids to fight their way through it.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say.
Over or under?
No, I tell you, it was funny. He kept replaying it like the first, I wouldn't say the first 5 or 10 plays from scrimmage. The defenders were pulling the offensive linemen straight to the ground. And I'm like, okay. Maybe there was some...
It looks like to me you got scouted well.
Yeah, I know. I looked at Don. I'm like, what am I supposed to say here? I'm not really sure. Yeah. I know what it is. I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Before we close out, Greg wrote a piece for Referee Magazine about how much rule studies do you do, how much you do during the season. And I thought it was very well written because, as we all know, the state of Ohio mandates 5 rules meetings during the course of a season, kind of backloaded, or I front loaded to the beginning of the season. But you have to have at least 5, and now they have 2 of them online, so it's not live with people that can ask questions and stuff. So I always thought, well, that's nice they have them, but people don't get into the discussions. It's not as good as sitting in a classroom at Sandusky High School or Perkins High School, listen to your rules interpreter talk, answer questions about this happened at JV game, this happened. All hell breaks loose in those lower level games, crazy things. It's good to share it so that people are kind of ready for it if they ever see it happen. But there's so many crazy things that just no end to them with the young kids. You don't have as many people at the live meetings anymore. And so it's important that a crew chief or somebody takes them to task by doing rule studies in the off season. So Greg, what some of your thoughts that you put together in making that? Because I thought it was really well done and basically a challenge to officials to stay in the book or stay in the rules thought right up to week 10 or in through the playoffs.
Well, yeah, I kind of wrote it with, do you just like, as the year goes on and you're in week 4 or 5, or is the only studying you're doing is, we got a close play this week. Let's look at the film, and that's all you do. Did we get it right? Didn't we get it right? Oh, we got it right, so we're good. We don't do anything. And as the weeks go by, if you're not doing some kind of review or like handling some part of the game, like maybe one week you might study kicks a little bit, in depth. The next week you study the passing game in depth or something. But by the time you get to week 8, 9, and 10, are you officiating as efficiently as you were in week 1, 2, and 3? And don't those schools in week 8, 9, and 10 deserve officials who are sharp as the ones in week 1, 2, and 3?
Absolutely.
If nothing's crazy happened to you during the year, then you can easily sit back on your laurels, and then in week 9 something comes up and what do we do? You got to try to stay on top of things, and I don't mean that you keep reading the rule book over and over and over. I came up with ideas. There's different ways of studying. Like once the season starts, I do a lot more in the case book than I do in the rule book because I've already read the rule book.
Right.
Or you can do that. A good crew can, do studies through their pre-games. Come each week with a different point, a different aspect of the game and stuff like that, and talk about that. And you can then tackle, 5 or 6, 7 different subjects during the course of the year in your pre-games.
Oh yeah.
Or you can, or what I like to do is find publications and quizzes to take different quizzes, as the weeks go by, and then try those and okay, what am I missing? What am I forgetting? So on and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was right. I'm working on the quiz, my first quiz for this year, and my first play is about the receiver, makes a fair catch signal. The ball goes over his head. It's rolling towards the goal line. He sees the defender coming down. He's gonna down the ball right, inside the 5. So he tries to block him and give the ball time to go into the end zone and get the touchback. What do you got? Is he allowed to block that player?
He gives up protection, and he gives up for his own protection. He's giving up his ability to block people because the officials are sheltering him from contact because he asked for a fair catch. So he's the do not. Yeah.
Okay. So now you got a foul during a loose ball play. Where's your basic spot? Where are you going to enforce that penalty from?
Goes previous spot.
No, it doesn't. It's a
at
PSK
the spot.
foul.
Oh, that's right. The PSA.
See, that's a PSK foul. Little things like that can sneak up on you.
Yeah, PSK stands for
post scrimmage kick foul.
Okay, so that's a special treatment of the scrimmage kick, which would be either a field goal or a punt coming from the line of scrimmage.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So that has its own special little ones there.
Right.
Yeah,
so they get to keep the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. Otherwise,
on that one.
That's a newer one, Jim.
So if A's punting from their 45-yard line and that happens, they go back to that original line of scrimmage where they punted and then assess the foul?
No,
it's post scrimmage.
The concept of a PSK foul, 5 things have to happen. Okay, and basically the ball has to cross the neutral zone. The foul has to occur downfield. It has to occur during the punt, and it has to occur prior to the kick ending, and it has to occur during a scrimmage kick or a try, a punt, and the kicking team is not the next to put the ball in play. So if you have these 5 aspects happen, the concept is the fact that once K has punted the ball, they are giving up possession.
Right.
So any foul that happens from that point on, if it happens downfield, the rules allow the receiving team to keep the ball, but they'll be administered that foul from the end of the kick.
So if it would have been down near the 2-yard line, signal for a fair catch, the ball comes up short. He wants to block somebody to keep from downing it. It's going to be at the spot of the foul, and you'll have the distance to the goal line.
Yep.
Yeah. Years ago, we used to call that a loose ball play. Come back to the previous spot.
Yep.
And say it was 4th down and 8. That's a 15-yard penalty. You're going to mark off and give them the kicking team a first down and give them the ball back.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, years ago they felt that was unfair because once the team punts the ball, they are basically giving it up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So any foul that are any foul that they have from that time that the ball is kicked until the kick ends, they're saying the fair thing to do is let R keep the ball, administer the penalty from the end of the kick.
Yepper.
That's a fair thing. So, Greg, thanks again for coming and enlightening us. And hopefully now that we know this is your last season, we can grab you maybe toward the end of the season before the playoffs, and maybe you'll have some crazy stuff to tell us about what happened during some of these games.
Yeah, get a little review of your final season.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that because I know what Don and I felt like, and what it feels like to hang them up for the final time. So, yeah, we definitely like to have you back, and we definitely appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
So
40
thanks
years is enough.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks.
Yeah, I hear you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Hey,
again for
thanks,
joining us.
Greg.
Yeah, good luck with everything.
Yeah, thanks again,
Yep,
buddy. We
you too.
appreciate you. All right, guys, let's throw in our little officials tales blurb here. It's still available on Amazon. It has been cut to $13 for the paperback. It is available in ebook and hardback, and I'm sure the hardback's way more expensive still, even though it is the best value, my opinion. And it is available at the Common Good, and so will we eventually when Don comes up here in a couple of weeks. We'd like to go up there.
I got one thing to say.
Oh,
I want
God.
to interrupt you real quick. A belated happy birthday to Allison. Her birthday was last week. I just happened
Yeah,
to
there
see
you go.
it on Facebook.
There you
Hey,
go.
happy birthday,
So,
Allison.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, and we can't wait to see you
Did you have
live
any
in
cake
person.
left?
And we're gonna do a little video up there, and we'll add it to the show. I don't know if we can do a live show up there.
Yeah. We'll show you a little bit of the store. We brag about them as being so unique and a great reason to come downtown when you need a present and you don't have any idea what to get. So,
and I do have one last thing for because we're talking football, so I can't leave Max out. I gotta have Max and let him see a little of his favorite guys. So here we go.
Quarterback. Halfback. Hunchback.
Hey, he loved that last week.
Oh,
Look at this.
spread out, boys. We're census taking.
Hey, it looks like Jimmy there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're so big, I ought to get 8 cents for you. How old are you? Graham. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait for me. Hey, hey, come on. Idea. What are you so stubborn for? What's the idea? Now look, I just want to ask you some question. Now look here, buddy. Now look. If you'll answer this question, I only have one thing to ask you. Why don't you give us a break? Yeah, why don't you?
Oh.
Well, hopefully Max likes that. We got to get him in there, So hopefully that's make sure he watches it, and
I will.
I got something for you all too.
All right, let's hear it.
The big game on opening Saturday is Ohio State and Texas.
Yeah.
There's another big one down here that's got two. I don't know if LSU they might be number 9 or something like that, and Clemson's around number 5. And the LSU coach, who we know previously from being up in Michigan and at one of the D2 schools, won national championship. Then down at Cincinnati, and then at Notre Dame, where he left because he couldn't get to they don't have the facilities to get a team to the national championship. And there they came a game short with a different coach. He goes to LSU, and a guy that has lived all his life and coached all his life up north goes down to Bayou country, and he speaks terrible, like a lifetime Southerner with a cheap Northern accent. His opening press conference, telling all the people how thrilled he was to be down at LSU and stuff, trying to be one of them. They all tore it apart because he wasn't. Well, the thing he did on SEC days when they talked to all the coaches and stuff about the upcoming season, he said they were asking him about, the Battle of the Death Valleys is coming on Saturday night that first weekend. He goes, well, we're letting Clemson borrow the term Death Valley. and then after this week we'll get it back. And it's like, hey man, they were Death Valley before you guys were. They got down here they got into the very beginnings of how it started being called Death Valley and stuff, and way before LSU did. So I saw this T-shirt, and believe me, when I'm home and the Bucks are on, I'll have my red. But for the evening game,
there you go.
Yeah, Death Valley football.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I can't wait. The opening week's coming up.
It's going to be great. It's a great Friday.
Can't wait.
A great Saturday. It's a long weekend. First games start Thursday, and the last ones are, I don't remember if there's one Monday night even. There's no pro game, so I think there might be one Monday night, big one.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks again for joining us. I appreciate you guys, and I'm thankful God blessed us to do these things. And, we're still together after all these years, us three, and, it's just a blessing. So I want to thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate it. Till next time.
A great week.
I don't know.
That's all, folks.